welcome to the deep dive. Today we're jumping into something pretty fundamental in crypto, the architecture. Specifically, Bitcoin's UTXO versus Ethereum's account model.
Right. Two very different ways of keeping track of things.
Exactly. And our goal here is for you to quickly get a handle on what these are, why they matter for stuff like security, flexibility, and, what these blockchains are even really for.
It sounds simple maybe, but the choice has huge implications down the line.
Okay, so let's unpack this. Bitcoin, Ethereum. You hear them mentioned together all the time, but under the hood, their accounting systems are, well, fundamentally different, like different philosophies almost.
That's a good way to put it.
So, Bitcoin, it kicked things off with this UTXO model. That's unspent transaction output. The easiest way I think of it is like actual cash in your wallet.
Like physical coins.
Yeah, exactly. Discrete chunks. You've got a $10 bill, a 5, maybe some ones you can't just, spend half of that $10 bill.
Right. And what's really interesting, technically speaking, is that the UTXO model is often called stateless in a way.
Stateless? What does that mean practically?
Well, it means each Bitcoin transaction sort of contains everything it needs within itself. It points to the specific coins, the UTXOs you already own and want to spend.
Okay.
Then it creates new, distinct UTXOs, new coins for whoever you're paying, and crucially, new ones for any change coming back to you.
Ah, like the cash analogy again? I pay for something that costs $12 with a $20 bill.
Exactly. You don't get the same $20 back with $12 crossed out. You get $8 back as like a new $5 bill and 3 new $1 bills. New UTXOs.
Got it. So my balance isn't stored anywhere centrally?
Nope. Your wallet software just adds up all the unspent UTXOs it knows belong to you. The network itself, it basically just cares if the UTXO you're trying to spend exists and, hasn't already been spent.
That sounds elegant. Simple. And pretty good at stopping someone from spending the same money twice, right? Double spending.
Extremely robust against it.
Right.
Because you're always dealing with these specific, identifiable, unspent outputs. Simple, but effective.
Okay, so that's Bitcoin digital cash by design.
Yeah.
But then came Ethereum with this grander vision, right? A world computer.
Precisely. They wanted to do much more complex things. Smart contracts, decentralized applications, stuff Bitcoin wasn't really built for.
And that required a totally different ledger system.
It did. Ethereum uses an account-based model. Instead of those discrete UTXOs, think more like your Pink account. There's a global state.
A global state?
Yeah, like a single massive ledger that says account A has X balance, account B has Y balance, smart contract C holds this data. When you send Ether, your account balance goes down, the recipient's goes up. It's updated in that global state.
That sounds, well, maybe more intuitive for programmers building complex stuff.
Definitely. It mirrors how traditional programming often works with accounts and balances. Much easier for complex logic involving multiple parties or state changes over time.
But, okay, here's where I get curious. With this stateful system, this global ledger that's always changing, how do you prevent weird issues? Like, say, a replay attack. What's that?
Ah, good question. A replay attack would be like, if you send me 1 Ether, someone malicious could try to just copy that transaction and broadcast it again, hoping to make you send another 1 Ether.
Right, that sounds bad. How does Ethereum stop that?
That's where the nonce comes in, N-O-N-C-E. It's basically a counter attached to each account. Every time you send a transaction, it has to include the next number in your account sequence.
Like transaction number 1, then number 2, then 3.
Exactly. The network only accepts transaction number 5 if it's already processed number 4 from your account. So that old transaction for 1 Ether, it has an old nonce, the network rejects it, it can only be processed once.
Okay, clever. But does that mean transactions from my account have to be processed in that exact order, one after another?
Yes, that's the trade-off. It creates a kind of sequential bottleneck for each individual account, adds a layer of complexity.
Okay, so this difference, UTXO versus account, it raises a big question, especially if you're thinking about long-term value, like a store of value. Which one is, well, more secure?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Or maybe the multi-billion-dollar question. From a base layer security perspective, Bitcoin's UTXO model is arguably more predictable.
Because it's simpler.
Simplicity and local validation. Transactions are quite self-contained. Plus, Bitcoin's scripting language is deliberately not Turing complete. It's limited in what it can do.
To minimize bugs and attack vector.
Exactly. It hardens the base layer by restricting complexity. Ethereum's approach, with its Turing-complete smart contracts, offers incredible flexibility. But it pushes a lot of the security burden onto the application layer, onto the smart contract developers. That massive flexibility creates a much larger attack surface. We've seen things like reentrancy attacks, huge hacks.
Right, those billion-dollar DeFi exploits you hear about.
Those often happen at the smart contract level, exploiting the complexity Ethereum enables. So you could say Bitcoin internalizes security through protocol simplicity, while Ethereum externalizes more security responsibility to developers for just storing value reliably. Bitcoin's minimalism is often seen as more conservative, potentially safer.
Interesting trade-off. But the UTXO model isn't perfect either, right? Doesn't its simplicity create its own set of problems, especially as it grows?
Oh, absolutely. You're right. The big one is the UTXO set itself. Remember, that's the list of all currently unspent coins.
And every full node needs to keep track of that entire list.
Every single one. And it only grows over time. Every transaction creates new UTXOs. This means running a full Bitcoin node requires more and more RAM, more fast storage.
Which could make it harder for regular people to run nodes, potentially hurting decentralization.
That's the concern. If running a node becomes too expensive, only larger entities can do it. There are potential solutions being researched, like Utxo, but they add their own complexities and trade-offs.
And I've also heard about Bitcoin Dust. What's that about?
Right, dust. These are tiny little UTXOs, fractions of a cent sometimes, where the value of the UTXO itself is actually less than the transaction fee required to spend it.
So they're basically worthless, economically speaking?
Economically unspendable, yeah. But guess what?
Every node still has to store them.
Indefinitely. They bloat the UTXO set, wasting resources, kind of like network pollution. And worse, they can be used maliciously in dusting attacks.
How so?
Attackers send tiny dust amounts to lots of different addresses, hoping to link them together when or if the owner tries to consolidate those tiny amounts later. It's a potential privacy issue.
Well, okay, different models, different headaches. So, wrapping this up for you, the listener, we've seen Bitcoin's UTXO model is really streamlined for being a secure, hard-to-censor store of value. Simplicity, statelessness are key.
Well, Ethereum's account model is built for programmability, for being that world computer, but that comes with more state complexity and, well, different security considerations.
It really boils down to fundamental trade-offs made early on.
It does. And the future for both really depends on tackling these built-in challenges. For Bitcoin, it's managing that UTXO growth without sacrificing decentralization. For Ethereum, it's constantly working on the security and usability of that powerful, complex application layer.
Which leaves us with a final thought to chew on. If you're aiming for a truly digital asset, something for the very long term, a store of value, how much fancy functionality should you give up for the sake of ultimate simplicity and security? Where's that perfect balance? Something to think about.